encouraging reports from churches where this strategy is being implemented. Now, again, if you're from another Church of Christ, raise your hand. Make sure if there's multiple people, not everybody needs it. We just want to make sure that an elder, preachers, get this back to your home church. This is about, raise your hand again, high, so my dad can see it, and he'll hand you he'll hand you those folders. And just again, if you're from the same church, not everybody needs it. Just make sure that one person from each church, we're getting some more of those folders right now. And let's make sure that, we want to make sure that you get the information that we're going to be covering tomorrow morning with the elders. And you'll find some of that in that folder. All right. Here we have some more folders. All right, there they come. Raise your hand again. And there's one up here at the very front. There's some here on the other side. And we'll get that information to you. All right, very good. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? Very good. All right. All right, very good, very good. All right, so I love this session because men by trade are fixers. And brethren, when there's a problem, you call a man, he's going to fix it. And we are inherently different than women. It doesn't matter what the professionals and the scientists or whoever it is they are employing to try to confuse the genders. Let's just be clear tonight. Any man who's married, a married man knows, any son knows who has a mother, that there's a gender difference. And here it is. Men are fixers, women are fixators. And if you have a wife, she's going to fixate. And she's going to fixate maybe on a nightly basis on some problem that occurred during the day. And as a man, we process that into the fix stage. We want to fix it. And you quickly learn in your marriage, you can't fix everything. In fact, there are some things that it's best if you don't fix it. And so it's important for us to understand that when it comes to evangelism, brother, we need to fix it. We don't send our women to the front line. It's not the job of our wives to fix the evangelism problem in the church. Brother, the problem in evangelism needs to be fixed by our men. Our men need to stand up. Our men need to lead. This is a fix-it session. God is calling for the men in the kingdom to get busy, turning your congregation into a personal evangelism machine. Brother, that's who we are. If we're nothing else, we are a machine that turns around evangelism. It was Winston Churchill who once said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." We, by and large, in the Church of Christ have no plan for local growth. We have no evangelistic strategy. We have a greater strategy for how to give the gospel to the India, how to take the gospel to Africa, how to take the gospel to Jamaica, how to take the gospel to Scotland than we do our own country. For decades, we have been sending all of our resources overseas, and we have by and large ignored our next door neighbor, and we have failed when it comes to evangelism in this country. That must stop. We can succeed in America. I'm going to give you 10 things you can do. In fact, if you have your workbook tonight, here's what I want you to do. Take this workbook, open it up to the very end, and you can follow along as we look at the 10 steps you can take to turn your congregation into an evangelistic body, page 112. You can read about it on page 113 and following. I'm going to follow that plan tonight, and we're going to get busy. Number one, the first thing you need to do is you got to provide your brethren the tools to do the job. Page 112. You got to provide the brethren the tools to do the job. If your church members don't have the tools to evangelize, they're not going to do it. If you don't provide them the proper equipment to save souls, they're not going to get it done. I asked one brother, I said, where's your evangelism material? He said, we call Gospel Advocate if we needed it. Gospel Advocate? I said, brother, if someone needs a Bible study, they don't need to wait till Gospel Advocate sends it. I said, you got any forks? He said, I got plenty. Got spoons? He said, got a drawer full of them. You got some plastic cups? Man, got a whole cabinet full of them. I said, got a refrigerator? Man, he said, we're ready. I said, you got tablecloth? Man, we got red, blue, yellow. We got them all. I said, you got crayon? He got crayon. I said, I got scissors. He said, man, you ought to see our workroom. I said, you got poster board? Got all sorts of poster board. I said, you got paper, copy machine. I said, you got bulletin board, thumbtack. He said, man, we got it all. Where's your evangelism material? We got churches that are more equipped to open up a school and a soup kitchen than they are to save souls. And in fact, I just had the sneaky suspicion, if one of your ladies came up tonight and they came up to one of the men and they said, listen, I opened up the refrigerator and the light was off and the food's going to spoil, it's out, that we would never even call a meeting, we'd replace it. If we needed to replace that refrigerator, it doesn't matter if it's in the budget or not, fix it. Brother, I want to know why churches of Christ, by and large, are ill-equipped to seek and save the lost. We don't have the Bibles to do that. I'm talking about Bible study Bibles. Bibles you hand out for Bible studies. I'm talking about back to the Bible. Doesn't matter. Believe the Bible. Open Bible study. Searching for truth. Joel Miller. Workbooks, books, tracts, door hangers. Whatever it takes to do the job. Brother, this is who we are. If we have the finest kitchen and the best fellowship hall and the greatest multi-purpose room, but we don't have the tools to equip our brethren to do Bible studies, shame on us. This is the centerpiece of the Church of Christ. This is what we live. This is what we eat. This is what we breathe. This is the heartbeat of the church. And do you know why most churches are morbid? Because our heart hasn't beaten for years. We're not prepared. What kind of soldier goes out to confront the enemy and he doesn't have his boots on? Doesn't have his helmet on. He doesn't have his weapon in his hand. He doesn't have the ammunition he needs. We've got to equip the saints. And so where's the first thing? What's the first thing a church should do? Equip the saints. You don't want to use back to the Bible? Man, I'm not here to sell a Bible study method. I mean, get out there and get open Bible study. And we've been using that for years. Ivan Stewart's great stuff. Get out there and get Joel Miller. You call Luke Griffin because he owns it. And you say, Luke, send us Joel Miller. He'll send you Joel Miller. Friends, get the equipment. Get it because it's needed. You can't successfully wage war if your people don't have the equipment in order to fight the battle. It's number one. Number two, put it in a highly visible place. You put it where people can get it. I walked into one church and I said, brother, he's an elder. I said, you got some evangelism materials? He said, man, we ordered back to the Bible. We knew you were coming. I said, great. I said, tell me where it's at. He said, follow me. So I started following him. I went down this long highway. He got out the ring of keys. You ever seen the ring of keys? And he got out the ring of keys. He started going through them one at a time. He's trying to get into this room. And I mean, we went through 10, 11. We finally got to the door. We unlocked the door. He said, it's in here somewhere. He turned on the light switch. He said, back in the locker. We walked all the way to the locker. Got out the ring of keys. We finally got to the key that unlocked the locker. He said, now there they are. They're in the back check. He pulled them. I said, preacher, I'm prepared. I said, I have one question. I said, why are the Bible study materials to save souls locked in a room and locked in a locker? He said, oh, we're afraid someone might get them. Huh? I said, brother, isn't that the point? And he said, oh, did I say that? And I said, brother, why are our evangelism materials locked in a closet in the preacher's office? Why are they in the library? Why are they in a coat closet? Why aren't we putting our evangelism materials out there where the brethren can get it? You ought not to be able to walk out of the church building without stepping on them. It ought to be the centerpiece of your vestibule. In your foyer out here, you ought to have Bible study materials with a spotlight on it. Brethren can't miss it. I went to one church and I said, brother, I said, where's your evangelism materials? He said, oh, well, about that, Rob. He said, I don't know how to explain this to you. He said, but I knew you were coming. I've watched your videos. He says, and I put the evangelism materials in the table. I mean, we're talking about an immaculate building, big congregation. He said, I laid them out. He says, and I came back a few days later. They're gone. I said, well, that's exciting. I said, people are gone. He said, no, Rob. He said, I put more of them out. He said, I went back a few days later. They're gone. I said, brother, where are the evangelism materials going? He says, well, I wanted to know. He said, I called the I said, brother, I said, I've been putting this evangelism material out on the table. He said, now about that. He said, now, when we built this $3 million building, he said, you know, we asked people for suggestions as to what goes in the foyer. Remember, it had to be approved. And he said, yes. He says, and you know, the women decorated, and we got matching decor, and we got, you know, different pictures and various furniture that didn't match the decor very good. He said, some of the ladies complained. We put it in the coat closet. The coat closet. He said, yes, it was not on the list, and we put it in the coat closet. Preacher said, all right, so I got up in the pulpit that night, and I preached about the coat closet. He said, everybody's going to the coat closet. We're going to get in there and take that material. We're going to get back to the Bible, bookmarks, Bibles, and workbooks, and door hangers, and tracts, and we're going to go. And he said, I stood by the door after the sermon. Do you know how many people walked in? 0. May I suggest to you, in the Church of Christ, if we can't purchase evangelism materials and put them in our foyer and put a spotlight on it and make it the centerpiece of this church, sell your building. Brethren, we're the Church of Christ. Our job is to go out there and seek and save the lost. And if we're too busy because it doesn't match the decor, shame on this church or any other church. I thought that was the exception to that rule. That happened to me 3 times in a year and a half. Doesn't match the decor. Get yourself a table, fill it with evangelism materials, preach on it, tell the members what you got, and you know what they might just do? They might pick it up. They might pick up back to the Bible. They might pick up Does It Matter? They might pick up How to Close a Study. They might pick up a door hanger, and they just might do a Bible study. I don't know why in the world we think we can lock it in the preacher's office and somehow do Bible study, and it'll sit there for 20 years. Highly visible. Don't hide it. Don't stick it in your library. Get your materials and put them out there where people can get it. It's so simple. And it's that simple. In fact, Cliff Goodwin's a personal friend of ours. He does preaching the gospel. And he said, Rob, he said, come do your seminar. And I went down there to Ironitan and did the seminar. And Cliff called me back a few months later and said, Cliff, how's it going? I'm going to check on you, by the way. You're not getting rid of me. I'm going to be calling you weekly, month. I'm going to say, what's going on? Tell me how many Bible studies you got going. You tell me how things are working out. And this is exactly what he said, Rob, he said, we've had like 6 or 7 baptisms in the last few months. I said, man, Cliff, I knew it. I knew it worked for you. He said, Rob, I'm not doing it. I said, what do you mean? He said, I trained this church, and I put those back to the Bibles out there, and we got these ladies, these widow ladies, they're going to study with their, they're going on Monday mornings, and they're studying with their neighbor. He said, Rob, we've baptized like 4 or 5 widow ladies. You'll be surprised at what happens when you give the brethren the tools to do the job. You put a hammer in my hand, it's a dangerous weapon. Put it in a framer's hand, they can frame a house. Train them how to do it. Train people how to use the tools. Put them on a table and give them a training, because you know what they might build a masterpiece out of it. They might be able to do Bible studies with it. You get that table out there and you show the brethren what they got, and you teach them what they got, and then you sit there and you provide training. You take them through every lesson of Back to the Bible. You have it underlined, every verse, circle every answer. In fact, this is what I'm going to do for this church. Because this church is enrolled, I will send you professionally designed PowerPoints. That's a benefit of the enrollment of this school. We're going to send you the PowerPoints where you can teach Back to the Bible, where you can slide the word in. In fact, I highly suggest you do that. You train your church members. You equip them with the tool. You show them how to do it. And they just might do a Bible study. I tell you give people equipment and don't teach them how to use it, it's worthless. It is absolutely worthless. But if you show them, if you demonstrate it, if you train them how to do it, well, they just might do something with it. We got church members that have extreme talent. They're successful businessmen and businesswomen. They got careers. They run families. They coach ball teams. They run various organizations. I mean, they're bringing their children up. We can do Bible studies. We just need to be taught how. I don't believe there's a lack of passion for souls in churches of Christ. I believe there's a lack of training. Just show people how to do it. Make it the focal point. Put your preacher in the pulpit on Sunday morning, and for the next 9 weeks, preach Back to the Bible. You preach you preach the entire thing. You hand Back to the Bible out to every person. Every person's got the green booklet from 5 years old. If they can write, they got the green booklet, and they're filling it out. And they're filling it out one by one. You watch in that 9 weeks what happens to your church. There are people doing Bible studies you never thought in your life would do a Bible study. I can do it. I can do this. I don't got to wait on Jeff. I don't got to wait on Chris. I can do a Bible study. I mean, this is so simple. It's so easy. That's what you want. Get the materials, put them out where people can get it, and train them how to use it. Number 4, you promote an evangelistic atmosphere in this church. You empower this congregation to get contacts and get Bible studies, and you focus on benevolence. I was taught when I was growing up, there are 3 works in the church. How many of you were taught this? Benevolence, edification, and evangelism. Brethren, benevolence is nothing without evangelism. You take evangelism out of benevolence, and we're nothing more than the soup kitchen. If you take evangelism out of benevolence, we're nothing more than the local Habitat for Humanity. We're not the Salvation Army. We're not the organizations out there to go out feeding the... Jesus said you're always going to have the poor. Brothers and sisters, our job is to save souls. Do you know why Jesus fed the 5,000? Because he needed to do a Bible study. He needed to teach them the Word of God. There is one work of the church, and everything funnels through it. And if I can't put evangelistic efforts into my benevolent ministries, shut it down. You are not going to solve world poverty. That is not the job of the church. The job of the church is to save souls. I'm not against benevolence, but I'm against empty ministries that don't teach people the gospel. I don't want us to sit here and continue to be misused by every charlatan out there. I don't know what it is about California, but every time they're going to California, they run out of gas in my parking lot. And do you give gas here? Can I give you some suggestions? I'm going to give you some practical things you can do to turn your evangelistic work on benevolence, because benevolence is one of the greatest attractions you've got for soul saving. Let me tell you about this. I got a phone call one day. The guy said, hey, man, he said, you help people in this church? I said, sure do. He said, really? I said, yes, sir. I said, what kind of help do you need? He said, man, I got this light bill. I said, I'm sorry. It's freezing outside. I know it is. He said, you guys pay light bills? I said, we love to help people. He said, all right. He said, when can I come? Sunday morning at 9:30. Huh? I said, yeah, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Huh? Sunday at 6. We help people at those times. He said, well, what about right now? I said, I'm so sorry you're in that position, but we help people just 3 times a week. Sunday morning, Sunday night. And he said, well, okay, I'll be there. I said, wonderful. He walked into the church building. I saw one of my members. I said, let me introduce you to him. I said, this right here is named Jim. Hey, Jim. I said, take back to the Bible. Get back. I said, take him right back to that room and do a Bible study. Huh? I said, yeah, do a Bible study. You mean miss the adult class? I said, this is going to be so much better. He takes that guy back to the adult room, and we do that Bible study. We do it with him a Sunday morning during Bible class hour. We do it on Wednesday night. We do Bible studies. That's what, and he said, well, aren't you going to help me? Sure, as soon as the Bible study's over, we'll be glad to. He said, preacher, does that work? A lot better than this. We got turkey giveaways. You come here, man, we're going to give out the turkeys, and I'm all for turkey giveaway. Do a Bible study. Man, come get the coats. We got Coke drives, and man, it's going to give coats to kids to coats. I'm all for giving coats to kids. Do a Bible study. Man, we've got the benevolent room. Man, I'm all for benevolent rooms. Do a Bible study. Friends, if you can't take benevolence and do Bible studies, shut it down. Revise it, retool it. You get people into Bible studies, and you won't know what might happen. That's going to happen. Because at Jacksonville, we have linked our benevolent work to Bible studies. I'm not opposed to helping people, but I want to help them go to heaven. I realize from time to time when Miss Kim called and she said, you guys give people rides to church? I said, sure do. I said, and your name? Kim, just moved here, don't have a car. I said, Kim, can I ask why you caught house to house? I said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah. We offer free rides to church. I said, well, we'll be right there. And we picked her up and brought her to church, got to know her, I could tell right off the bat she needs help. And I can remember as we're walking through the process, and Kim says, he says, Kim, do you need something? She said, I could use a little food. I said, well, let's go to the store. We went to the store, got her the food, brought it over to her house, talking, picking her up, taking her to worship, building that relationship. I said, Kim, would you like to know more about Jacksonville? She said, I sure would. What are the odds she'd say no? And I said, well, I just so happen to have these booklets, Kim. John 8:32, Nicole. And we gathered around the table. Kim, can you not read your Bible? Can't afford glasses, Rob. I said, where can you get them? She said, well, there's a place down the road. It says they give you 2 pairs of glasses and the eye exam for $200. I said, well, make your appointment. She said, I can't afford it. I didn't ask that. I said, make your appointment. She made her appointment. Nicole took her, got her glasses, came back. We did book 1. What do you think she did when we finished book 3? We do this time and time again with people. Make your benevolence evangelistically centered. When you got people calling for help, say, sure, we're glad to help you, but I'm going to help your soul when I help, while I'm helping you with your light bill, while I'm helping you get food, we're going to do Bible studies. We're not going to become the local soup kitchen because we can't feed everyone in this county. But I tell you what we will do. We'll be concerned about helping you go to heaven, because when you fix your relationship with God, you know what you're also going to fix? A lot of other problems too. This is probably the most important point I'm going to make tonight. Now that last one is a big one. You've got to turn your benevolence into an evangelistically centered ministry. I didn't give you a blueprint, you notice. I'm going to give your elders 4 or 5 different ways to do it, but I just know that that has got to be a centerpiece of what you do. Number 5, you must produce contacts. Let me paint this picture. If you've got no contacts in this church, you've got nothing. Brother, nothing else matters. If you don't have contacts for reaching sinners, nothing else you do is going to matter. You've got to have contact. If you're a prospector, if you go out, I was in Alaska, I can't remember where I was, and I've always wanted to prospect. I've always thought that was just, I think I'm going to find the nugget, you know. So I get out there, first thing I need pay dirt. That's called contacts. You got to have them. No pay dirt, can't do anything else. You can have the pan, the sluice, the water. You can have everything else you need. But you have no pay dirt contacts. You got nothing. You got to get to the ground. So you put the pay dirt in the pan and you prospect. That's why they're called prospects. You start with contacts, and you know who the best contact producers are in the church. You are. You work with them. It's not Chris. He's surrounded by Christians. You're surrounded by non-Christians. We need to get our church members bringing contacts to us. Give us the pay dirt. I want to know about the people you work with. I want to know about your neighbor. I want to know about your ball team member. I want to know about the kids you grew up with. I want to know about your club people. I want to know about the people you know at the grocery store. I need their names. Contacts give you prospects. And you know what prospects give you? Bible studies. Contacts don't give you Bible studies. That's a leap far too long. You take a leap from contact to Bible study, you're going to fall down. But you go from contact to prospect, you'll get Bible studies every time. Not everything in that pan is going to give you gold. But when you prospect it, you'll find it. You're going to get rid of the pay dirt that doesn't pay off. You're going to sluice it out. You're going to swish that water ground, and you're going to get rid of it. And you're going to keep doing it. And you're going to prospect and prospect and prospect. And then finally, when you're done prospecting, you're going to look down in that pan, and you know what you're going to find? You're going to find some shiny stuff at the bottom. How do you do that? Here's how you do it. I'm going to give you 7, 8 things to do that will produce for you Bible studies. Number 1, house to house, heart to heart. It is by far the most effective and efficient way to get contacts in the church in America. I've been using this for 20-some years. And when Alan Webster called me, he said, hey, Rob, he said, what do you think about starting a school of evangelism? And you direct it. He said, I'm going to give you a blank piece of paper. He said, you already do it. Just make a school and teach. You know what my first thing I said to Alan Webster was? I said, Alan, the only way I do it is if I don't have to sell magazines. He says, that's a deal. He said, only mention house to house if you think it helps people. I know it helps people. I baptize a half a dozen people a year using it. What I've experienced in my travels is that most churches that have used house to house have no idea what they're doing with it. They don't use it properly. They don't understand how the benefits it provides. And so I sit down with the elders and I said, listen, tell me about your usage of house to house. And they start telling me. I can immediately pick out the mistakes. I can immediately see why it's not working. Well, let me tell you about house to house. It's a full-color, 8-page magazine where you advertise your church name right on the front page. David Shannon and I were friends for several years. I was at Willette. He was at Mount Juliet. He's a president of Freed-Hardeman University. And David, one thing about David, he's a soul winner. I mean, he took a church and it just grew and grew. I said, David, tell me some things you did. He said, one thing we did, Rob, is we went out to the community and we asked people, ever heard of Mount Juliet Church of Christ? He said, Rob, we're a huge building. I thought everybody would know about Mount Juliet. You know, we got the big, got the big steeple, you got the big building. I mean, you can't miss it. I mean, it's Mount Juliet. It's right off the main road. We're behind the church building. Ever heard about the Mount Juliet Church? Mount Juliet what? Yeah, Church of Christ. Who are you? We've been here for 27 years. Huh? How long have you lived here? All my life. You go past it every day. Now, where are you guys located? In your backyard. He said, Rob, we were shocked. Literally, we had people within a half mile of the building had no idea we're even there. Brethren, if people don't know you're here, they're never going to come. If you're the best kept secret, and that's what most churches are, the best kept secret in the city and the county, there is no way they're going to come and be a contact for prospecting. You got to let people know you're there. You got to let people know, hey, we're the Church of Christ, we're in your community, and you know what we provide on that front page on the bottom? You know what we provide? This gives me a baptism every year. Every year I get a baptism because of one line. We give free rides to church. That's all I said, free rides. Second line says, we offer free benevolent assistance, baptism every year. Someone's going to call me and say, hey, I don't have a car. Can you give me a ride to church? Oh, absolutely. Where do you live? We'll be right there. Her name's Ellen. And I just gotten back from Texas. This is 1 year ago. I just gotten back from Texas. This is right before the lockdown. I'm sitting in the pew. Nicole's gone to visit her mama with the kids, and I look over. Who's that? Because I'm always looking for visitors. And I walked over to Alan. He just finished. I said, Alan, who is that? He said, Rob, she's coming for a couple weeks. And he said, I think she might be a prospect. So I walked right over to her. She met me as she's coming, trying to get out of the building. She ran, hey, hello, my name's Rob. And she, oh yeah, my name's Ellen. Hey, Ellen, you visiting this morning? She said, well, yeah, I came last week too. And I said, well, tell me about, do you like this church? She said, man, you guys got a lot of Bible here. I said, yes, ma'am, we love the Bible. And she said, well, I've really enjoyed it. I said, well, Ellie got family. She said, well, my husband, but he wasn't feeling well this morning. I said, okay. I said, you guys live locally? I just live down the road. I said, well, wonderful. And I said, well, my wife's not here. I wish she could meet you this morning. And she said, well, I'll tell you what. She said, you guys got an evening service? I said, we just so happen to have it. And 6 o'clock, she said, well, I'll bring him tonight. I said, well, great. I said, well, we'd like to meet him. His name's Perry. Sure enough, that Sunday night, Ellen and Perry walk in the building. Nicole and I walk right up. Hey, Ellen, is this your husband, Perry? Sure is, Rob. And I said, well, Perry, nice to meet you. My wife, Nicole, Ellen, this is Nicole. And so we start talking, and I said, hey, guys, we just so happen to have this custom. Could we take you to eat? Oh, Perry, what's your favorite restaurant? He said, well, I don't want to say, it's kind of expensive. I said, what is it? He said, Athena's. I said, I'll make the reservations. He said, well, he said, I'm not feeling, can we do that next Sunday? I said, you got it. I said, it's on us. I said, we'll make reservations. He said, wow, that's really nice. So I made those reservations. They came back the next Sunday. We took them over to Athena's. We sat down in that restaurant. All I want is a Bible study. It's the only thing that matters. I'm looking for the sweet spot. I probe. I talk about hunting, not it. Fishing, not it. Farming, gardening, not football. He loves Alabama. I mean, Nick Saban. I mean, I tell you, football. I mean, we hit the sweet spot. Man, he said, Rob, it's been a terrible. Any year Alabama doesn't win the national championship is a bad year. And he said, man, it's been terrible. I said, I know. I said, what do you think about LSU and Clemson? He said, man, it's going to be a great. He said, I'm going to watch. I said, Nicole, I've got an idea. I said, tomorrow is the championship game. Ouch, what was that? Oh, it's Nicole. She's kicking me under the table. She knows exactly what I'm going to do. And I said, Perry, you got to come to my house tomorrow night. I said, let's watch the game together. I said, when we bought this house, we had it's like a big screen like this in the movie room. Somebody built it like that. 9 speakers, subwoofer. I said, you haven't watched a football game. You watched it on this screen. He said, really? I said, my wife will make pigs in a blanket. I love it. Sausage, dip, chips, and dip. This is going to be great. Hannah's going to help make desserts. And I said, y'all come on over. Honey, can we go? She said, well, sure. She said, y'all come on over. All I want is a Bible study. If I got to be an Alabama fan to get a Bible study, I'll root for Alabama. I don't care. I want a Bible study. We get in my house and we're watching the game. It's a blowout, thank God, because all I want is a Bible study. I look over and I said, Perry, Ellen, why'd you come to Jacksonville? You know somebody? No. What made you come? Well, Rob, you know the Methodist church is changing. I said, it is, isn't it? Not the same church it used to be. I said, no. She said, 21 years ago, we got this paper, and y'all send it to us all the time. At first, we just thought it was junk mail. We threw it away. But you keep sending it. Sat on our table. I look at it, and I started to read it. Rob, we can't wait to get it. I said, well, what is it? House to house, heart to heart. She says, I love it. She said, it's full of Bible. And she says, so we got up one morning and said, we got to find a church that teaches the Bible. Let's go to Jacksonville. Never been. We just thought we'd come. I said, that's wonderful. I said, are y'all wanting to know more about this church? She said, we kind of do. I just so happen to have these booklets. Nicole, John 8:32, grab the Bibles. And I said, we just sat around. What do you think they did 3 weeks later? Inside House to House, Heart to Heart, you're going to have an opportunity to promote your events, gospel meetings, VBSs, summer series. I'd suggest you do a marriage seminar, a parenting seminar, do anything that attracts people to come. Do apologetics seminars. You tell the community, you come and we'll teach you. But watch this. These special promotions are gold. Inside it says, you fill this out, we send you a free poster of the 10 Commandments. You fill this out, we send you a free book on marriage. You fill this out, we send you a free Bible. You fill this out, we send you a free DVD about how to make your marriage better. And you know what might happen? The worst thing you can do when people request, and they will, they're going to request, you're going to get 1, 2, 3. They're going to say, send me the material, send me the material. And the worst thing we do is send it. Brother, don't send it. Hand deliver it. Get to their home and knock on the door. Make a personal contact. When someone reaches out to you and says, send me marriage material, the preacher should be on the front door. God has just given you a prospect, and all you got to do is visit them. I remember I got a phone call. Her name's Deborah Rice. She's secretary at House to House. She's at Jacksonville. Hello? Hey, Rob. He says, we got this request, and I know you're trying to set up evangelism here at this church. And she said, we usually send it to them. Do you want me to send it? I said, no. But Rob, we always send it. I know, and that's why we don't baptize. I said, put it in my box. Your box? I said, yes. She said, what are you going to do with that? I said, I'm going to hand deliver it. So I said, Nicole, come on. We got in the car, drove down, grabbed the marriage material. That's what she requested. We searched the houses. We're trying to find out where she's located. We finally find, her name is Brenda. We finally find it. Always bring a woman. Don't knock alone. Always bring a child. Those are 2 rules you don't want to miss. Bring a child or a woman. Make sure they see them first and not you. You are scary. Make sure they see them first and not you. Knock on the door. Take a step back and just watch what happens. She opens it up. She says, hello? I said, yes, ma'am. My name is Rob. This is my wife, Nicole. And you requested some information from House to House on marriage. Oh, you're from House to House. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, I love reading that. She said, yeah, I just got married. I said, well, congratulations. I said, well, when did you get married? Well, about a couple months ago. I said, have you just moved here? I said, wonderful. She said, you could have mailed this stuff. I said, yes, ma'am, but I couldn't have met you if I did that. And she says, oh, yeah, well, you're right. And she says, I said, well, how's marriage going? She says, really good. She said, would you mind if I ask you a question? I said, sure. Do you know anything about the Bible? I said, oh, just a little bit. And she says, good, because my husband knows nothing about the Bible. Daniel, get in here. Daniel, get over here right now, Daniel. You come over here. Hey, man's been sleeping since he got home. Don't know what he's doing over there. Daniel, get over here. Daniel walks up doing this, This is the preacher. He's going to teach you the Bible. We're going to teach you I said, when do you want to start? She said, tomorrow. I said, sounds good to me. We started. We had 7 baptisms. I guarantee my little bit of something's better than your whole lot of nothing. Brethren, we got to fire our shotgun, and we got to fire every shell in it. We got to hit house to house. We got to advertise. We got to send out free promotions. We got to get into people's homes. We got to knock doors. We got to do everything in our power to reach people. And when you do that, you baptize. You do Bible studies. That's how churches grow. We don't grow sitting in our offices. We don't grow sitting in our pews. We grow when we get out there and we take the tools. Brethren, there has never been a church of Christ in the history of the kingdom that has more tools than we do. We have the best graphics. We have the most colorful programs. We got more Bible study methods. We got every device under the sun, and we're the least evangelistic people the kingdom's ever seen. Target people. I call it targeting. It's not hard. So you're going to send out house to house, maybe to the area surrounding Mount Pleasant. You can't send out house to every person in this county. It'd bankrupt you. And we know that. You fire a shotgun. You know what a shotgun does? It spreads out. You hit a little bit here. You hit a little bit there. One of the things you can do is target people. I love this. I'm going to pass a clipboard out on Sunday morning. I said, I want you to write down the name and addresses of people who live in this community who are not getting house to house. You work with them, and you go to school with them, and you play ball with them. And I want you to write their name and address down, and I'm going to send them house to house. We'll do it for you. All you got to do is give us their name and address, and we'll send it for you. Every time it comes out, we'll send it right into their mailbox. You say, well, why would I want to do that? Here's why. Hey, Fred, have you been getting this magazine at your home? It's called House to House. Is it recognized? I've been sending it about a year to you. You been sending it to my? I said, yes, sir. Fred, you know how we like to talk about the Bible? I kind of got that as a gift for you. I thought you might like to read it. He said, well, actually, I do. I said, what do you like about it, Fred? He said, well, those articles. What article was it you read? Well, there was one there about, it was about, the Bible. Really? I said, John 3? I said, really? Have you ever read John 3? Well, yeah. I said, well, why don't we look at that together? It's called a Bible study. It's called target people. Target your friends. Target them. You never know what will happen. If you target somebody, you might, you never hit a target you don't aim for, ever. You don't aim, you won't hit. So list people. Give us a list of people you want to target. Maybe you try to knock their door. You said, preacher, that don't work. I'm not telling you to knock the door 10 times. Once a year. How about if just once a year the church said, listen, we're going to go out and we're going to knock a few doors once a year. Why don't we do it on the National Door Knocking Day? Think, what's a National Door Knocking Day? Every year, house to house, we set it up. The last time we did it, we had 55,000 Christians knocking doors. And one day, we had 12 baptisms. In one day, Churches of Christ went out, we knocked doors, we handed out house to house. When you send out house to house, you can say this. Take a step back, you open the door. Sir, my name's Rob. We've been sending this publication to you for about a year. Just want to know if you like it. Huh? Yeah, it's called House to House, Heart to Heart. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's sitting on my table in there. Really? What do you think about it? A lot better than a cold turkey door knock, isn't it? His name was Gary. And Nick, he's one of our young men, about your age. And Nick was going up. I said, Nick, that's your road, and I'll be over here. Nick knocks on his door. As soon as Nick knocks, you think that you think the killer was coming to the door. This dog. Nick said, Rob, I've never heard anything like it. I thought it was going to come through the door at me. He said, and then this man opens it up. Hello? Nick says, yes, sir. My name is Nick, and yeah, my name's Gary. Let me restrain the dog. So he's pulling the dog back, and he restrains the dog, and Nick says, name's Nick. I was going to give you this little publication, House to House. Oh yeah, well, where you from? I'm from the Willet Church of Christ. Church of Christ? I used to go to the Church of Christ. 30 years ago, wife left me, got ran over by a paver on disability, did all that in 10 seconds. And Nick says, yes, sir. Hey, could I come back and talk to you sometime when the dog's restrained? Oh, yeah, come back. No one visits me for some reason. Been here for years. And Nick says, well, I'll bring my preacher back. Oh, like the meeting. Rob, can you come? Be right there, Nick. Come the next day, I knock on the door, the dog. It's going. I've never seen he calls it precious. There's nothing precious about this thing. And he chains it up, and he chains it up. Gary says, come on in. More smoke than oxygen in the room as I walk in. One cushion on the couch and a TV. And I sit on the couch. He grabs a chair. Nick's on the floor. He said, what do you want to talk about? I said, when did you move here, Gary? Oh, yeah, a couple of years ago, and needing some work. I'm a good mechanic. I said, well, I think I know where I can help you with that. Really? I said, yes, sir. I said, I can hook you up. And where'd you go to church? Springfield Church of Christ. Who was your preacher? I said, I know him. I said, man, I know some of those people. Yeah. Gary, have you been to church in the last? No. Wife left me. I said, Gary, could we talk about the church? Sure. I said, I just so happen to have these booklets. Does it matter? You want to restore someone? Instead of apologizing for all the wrongs people have done to them because you're going to apologize for the rest of their life, why don't we do a Bible study with them? Why don't we follow the James 5:19 motto? It says, if one does err from the Scriptures and one convert him, convert the people who fall away. They have lost their first love. They need to remember why they became a Christian. Stop apologizing for every brother that's offended them, because you're going to offend them, no doubt, next week. Do a Bible study and get them back. And we did. I will never forget that day when Gary walked into those doors. Gary's different. Some people think Gary's scary. I don't. He's just different. We're all different. Gary sat down in the back pew, and we got the invitation song, and I said, now, Gary, when the invitation, he wanted to make his life right. I told him, just come on forward. And he came forward on the opening song. He walked up. Everybody's looking around. His man's here. Gary looked at me, and I just walked. I said, Gary, just sit right here. Opening song's done. I just got in the pulpit. I said, he's come to make his life right, and we'll do it right now. He doesn't miss a service. I would have never met Gary if it wasn't for a knock on the door. I would have never met Charles. I'd have never met Mary. I'd have never met Barry. I'd have never met Jonathan. I'd have never met Stephanie. I'd never met Cindy. I'd never met Johnny. I can just sit here and keep naming them. They are in your community, and they will not visit if you don't go to their door. I'm not telling you that door knocking is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm telling you it's one shell. It's one bullet in that shotgun shell, and you better fire it, because if you don't, you'll never reach them. New movers. One of the great benefits of house to house is that we have access to every person who moves into your community. Does anybody here own like a service business, a lawn care business, or electrician? You've been an electrician. I know you've been, Mike, you were an electrician. A plumber. Got anybody out here that service-oriented work? That's the work you do. People. What if I could give you the name and the address of every person who moves into your community? Worth something to you? Businesses will pay for that, doctor. Because you're going to send them a little card that says, first visit's free, come see me. You want to be the first chiropractor they visit. Because once they visit, you got them. Once they see the kind of business we are, they're going to come back. Once they see the kind of car washes we do, they're coming back. Once they see the kind of electrical work we do, I've got them. Rest of their life, they're going to call me every time there's a problem. Why don't we do that in the church? David Shannon once told me this. He said, people are most likely to change churches when they move. A couple of generations ago, if a couple or a family or an individual moved from one city to another city, they usually stayed with that same denomination. Those days are over. He says, the average person today is willing to look at any church in their community. That is a powerful opportunity for evangelism. It doesn't matter to me what church they were in the last town. I want them to visit the Church of Christ, because it's going to give us the best opportunity to sit down with them and study the Word of God. Brethren, we need to reach out to new people. You know how you do that? You say house to house, would you send a new movers postcard to every person who moves into the community that advertises the Mount Pleasant Church of Christ, and we'll do it for $1. That's right, $1. We'll send them not just a postcard. 2 weeks later, we'll send them their first edition of House to House, Heart to Heart, 2 weeks later. That advertises the Mount Pleasant Church of Christ. You're the first church they hear about. More than that, Nicole's teaching your ladies right now how to make new movers baskets. I tell you what, if you'll tell your ladies to go shopping, they're going to love it. Hey, ladies, if you'll go shopping, you can evangelize. Really? I said, just go shopping. Dollar store. Just give them $200. They'll make 20 baskets for you, 10 items in every basket. My wife has got the basket. She is literally showing them how to do this. We do this for new movers. We put the new mover basket together. I bet, Chris, in this church, you've got some kind of newcomers folder with information for new people in it that talks about here, Mount Pleasant, and my name's Chris, and these are the things that we offer, and this is, the layout of the building, and this is my phone number, and this is the deacons and the elders, and this is the works we do here at this church, and you're going to put your electrician's card in there, you're going to put your chiropractic card in there, you're going to give them a list of contacts in the local community. I mean, it's great information. Then you're going to do this. You're going to get on the app, because we're going to give you this app. You're going to zoom in on it, and you're going to say, hey, brother, you got someone that just moved about a half mile down the road. Did you know that? And their name Joe and Sandra Smith. Hey, would you go grab that basket back there and go visit them for us and just introduce yourself? Here's how you do it. You just walk right up to the door. Take your wife. Hello, hey, my name is Joe. My name is Bob. This is my wife, Elisa. And welcome to the community. We'd like to give you this basket. Oh, my wife made you some chocolate chip cookies. And you like those cookies? Well, that was so sweet. Where do you live? Oh, I just live down the road. Oh, by the way, my church put this basket. You go to church? Do you go to church anywhere? Oh, well, we haven't got one. I said, I tell you what, we got a great church family. And I mean, it's just full of life, and we got great people. We'd love you to visit. is that church we got that postcard from? Are y'all that church? Oh, yeah, we sent that postcard to you. Oh, really? I said, yes, ma'am. You're going to get a favorable response. No one gets upset if you give them a gift. Now, watch this. It's 1 + 1 + 1. One more thing you're going to do. You're going to inundate them with cards. You're going to divide your church into 3-4 groups. And you're going to become a card ministry machine. You're going to go into the card room, and group 1 is going to send this person 30 cards, not one card with 30 signatures, 30 cards. And every card says, welcome to the community. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Whatever the card, we're praying. You're going to send little notes that invite them. We're inviting you to come. They're going to get the new movers basket. They're going to get 30 cards. They're going to get a postcard and a house-to-house, heart-to-heart. Now, brother, what are the odds they visit you? If they're going to visit, they're coming here. That's all you want. My little bit of something is better than most people's whole lot of nothing. You got to get out there. I tell you what, card ministries, if they're done correctly, are powerful baptism magnets. They are great for Bible studies. I'm not talking about an at-large card ministry that some ladies group. I love ladies groups. I'm glad they send cards. I'm not talking about that. This is a precision-guided mission. Here's what it looks like. I want you to take your book. I'm going to set it up for you. Take your book, everybody. I want you to go to page number 100. And let's see here if sometimes I do so fast, I miss it. Page number 104. That's called the contact list. On page 105, I give you contacts. You're going to fill this out. You're going to get contact from the local church, pay dirt, right? You're going to ask for it, and you're going to put the guy with COVID who lives across the street who's having a rough time with it on there. You're going to put your coworker who's got cancer treatments going on there. You're going to put a friend that just lost their mother and they're grieving on there. You're going to put every visitor who visits this church, you're going to put every one of them on there. You're going to put the person who just moved into the community on there, and you're going to do a precision drop. You're going to send every one of those people cards. You're going to inundate them with cards, and you know what happens when you do that? Every year it happens. Her name's Bettina. She said, Rob, I've never seen a church send so many cards. She said, when I never thought this would happen. She said, I've never got this many cards on a birthday or Christmas. I said, well, Bettina, we really care about you. She said, this church has done so much for me. And she's on an oxygen mask. Nicole and Hannah are helping her clean up her place a little bit. And she's just having a rough time. And she says, I don't have any family. I said, well, Bettina, I said, we've got a big family at Jacksonville. She said, I really like that church. Thanks for giving me a ride. I said, you're welcome. Bettina, why are you hunched over like this? She says, oh, my chair's broken and I can't get one, Rob. I said, well, it's all right. I said, Bettina, I said, enjoy talking to Nicole. Jared and I have got something we got to go get. Always use benevolence for Bible studies. I went down to the Big Lots. I grabbed the church credit card. I walked into, Big Lots has furniture. I walked into Big Lots and I said, I'll take that chair right there. Jared and I brought it back. We set it up. Bettina says, what's that? I said, it's your new chair. Well, Rob, I didn't ask for a chair. I said, I know. I said, but you can't even sit, Bettina. I said, here it is. She says, really? You know, she slept in that chair? It's incredible. I said, oh, by the way, Bettina, would you like to know more about this church? She says, well, I sure would. Y'all the nicest people I've ever met. Nicole, John 8:32, get the green book. Now, this will probably never happen in my life again. I'm going to share with you what happened. We're in the third book. We're reading Mark 16:16. He that believes in his... I don't know a lot about Bettina's religious background. I've had a hard time getting the information from her. She's been coy with me, and I don't know why. So we're reading it. I think she may be a member of the church. I'm not sure. But she said, oh, Rob, I know that. And she knows her Bible. I mean, she knows it. She knows the books of the Bible. She's very lucid. She understands religion. She said, oh, yeah, Rob, I know that verse. She said, my pastor told me all about it. Pastor. Huh. Oh, Bettina, can you read it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got to believe, you're saved, and you're baptized. Bettina, could you read Mark 16:6? Yes, believe, saved, and baptized. Bettina, what version of the Bible are you using? Oh, is there something wrong? I said, I don't know. I said, would you read it like one word at a time? She says, oh, sure. He that believes and is baptized shall be. He that believes and is baptized shall be saved. That is not what my pastor told me that verse said. I said, well, Bettina, I said, well, let's keep reading here. I said, let's go to Acts 2:38. What do you think she did? Hey, Bettina, she's drying off. I said, let's sit down and talk. I said, I just got to know this. I said, where did you go to church before you came to this community? Oh, Hatchie Church of Christ. How long? You didn't go very often, did you? Oh, well, before Hatchie, now I grew up a Baptist, Rob. I said, why'd you go to Hatchie? She says, oh, well, it was the closest church and I didn't have a car. I was next door. I said, you probably didn't go very often, did you? Oh, every Sunday. How? Not very long. Oh, 7 years. Bettina, in the 7 years you went to Ohatchee, 7 years. I said, was there anybody in that church that asked you, like, would you like to do a Bible study? No. Did anybody visit you in 7 years? Not really. I got a phone call 6 months later, I don't know, 4 months later. Hello? Rob, this is Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca, what's going on? Rob, where are you at? I was in Texas. I said, I'm in Texas. She says, Rob, there's a problem. I said, what's wrong? Bettina's blue. Rob, I'm shaking her. She won't wake up. I said, you need to call 911. She didn't make it. Aren't you glad she still wasn't an Ohatchee? I want to know why in the world someone can sit in our pews for 7 years and no one does a Bible study, and we wonder why we're shutting down churches. Brethren, you got to do Bible studies. You got to engage people. I tell you what, those compassion cards, they're the key that unlocks the Bible study. That's called prospecting. You prospect with compassion cards, you'll get studies. We get studies all year long. Visitors. God sets visitors in our pews, and you know what we do? We let them slip out of our church buildings, and this is how we do it. Now, if you're visiting this morning, you got take that visitor card and fill it out, put it in the offering, and we want a record of your attendance. How many visitors do that? The members don't even do that anymore. They're not going to do it. Or we got some greeter out there. When a visitor walks into a building, what do they want to do? Sit down. Well, we got some greeter out there that won't let them sit. I mean, let me give you a visitor plan. Why not when a visitor comes and sits down, you have a family, their job is to get information from visitors, and it's not hard. My wife's teaching your ladies how to do this right now. You put a visitor bag together. You fill it with things like pencils, Bibles, notepads, mints, little, whatever it is that women like. I don't know, but whatever it is, put it in there, and sir, my name's Rob. Are you visiting this morning? Yeah, okay. From the community? Sure am. Just live a couple down. I said, I got this little bag for visitors and for your family here, and it got a little cup in there and things. I'm glad you're here this morning. Oh, by the way, what was your name again? I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to get your name. I'm going to get your address. I never let a visitor walk out of the doors without me getting their information. That afternoon, I'm texting them. I'm saying, thanks for coming. No more form letters from secretaries. We're going to go back here and we're going to overwhelm him with cards. He's going to go out there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. He's going to get 30 cards, 40 cards. He's going to be overwhelmed with cards. You know what might happen? You might have a baptism. Here's what I hate. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't stand this. Hey, Joe, those people sitting next to you this morning, who were they? Well, John Doe, John Smith, something. They lived in Mount Pleasant somewhere. I think he worked with, I don't know. I'm terrible with names, Are you kidding me? God dropped a visitor in your pews and we don't even get their information? Can you imagine someone walking into your clinic and saying, oh, I'd like to know more about your clinic, and you don't get a name or information, you'd fire them. Someone walks into your insurance company and says, I'd like to know more about automobiles, and you don't get a name, a phone number, or an email address, you fire them. How in the world do we let that happen in the church? There should not be one visitor that walks in our building that leaves it. We don't have a name, address, and email. You know, we've been doing this for 10 years. I've never had one visitor tell me, no, I don't want to give you my name. You give them a gift, they'll give it to you every time. Just be kind to people. Sit down, talk to them. Have an assigned family, not your preacher. Don't give it to an elder or a deacon. Get a family out there. Get some family out there and just sit down with them and talk. And that's your job. From that day forward, that is your job. Take people out to eat. You want to have Bible studies? Take them out to eat. There ought not to be a visitor that comes into this church building that doesn't get a meal invitation where you say, hey, could we take you out to eat? I mean, that ought to be number one. Dale Harris. Anybody know Dale Harris? Dale's, his brother is, Dale's a pretty interesting fellow. Spiritual guy. I love Dale. And Dale's a pharmaceutical rep. And the reason I ask if you knew him is because Dale is the top pharmaceutical rep in the country. And I got to know how he does this, right? Every year. He's a good brother, faithful. I said, Dale, how do you do that? Oh, I said, what do you got? You got some magic bullet? What is it, Dale? He said, Rob, if you push me, I take him out to eat. I said, what do you mean? He said, you take a doctor out to eat and give him a free meal, you can sell every pharmaceutical drug to him you got. Take him out to eat, brethren. Just take him to Whataburger. Take him to, you actually have Mexican food here. Take him out to eat. Let him sit there and have chips and salsa. It's free. Let them sit there and, build a relationship with them. You'll get Bible studies. It's amazing what happens. Use digital media. Use Facebook, until they shut you down. Use every platform out there to get the message out. Do community events. I want to talk more about this with your elders tomorrow. I want to get to this. This is my favorite page of the entire seminar right here. Look at this chart. This is, by the way, you men who have folders, this is in your folder. You can look for it. If you want to look at it, right here. On the top right-hand side, it says non-Christians in the pew. Chris Groda. Are there any non-Christians who sit in the pew at Mount Pleasant? All right, we're going to make them our target. We're going to make them the most, when your next elders meeting, that's the most important thing you're going to talk about. How do I get to them? Number 2, we're going to look for compassion cards. We're going to send cards, targeted, not an at-large women's ministry. This work involves the entire church. They're not going to get one card. They're going to get 30 cards. For weeks, they're going to get these cards. Then we're going to get out there with visitors. Every visitor, we're going to get their name, number, email, and we're going to target visitors. Door. We're going to, at least once a year, if not more, we're going to get to the annual door. We're going to knock doors and find who lives in our community. Then we're going to get house to house, and we're going to start sending it out to a targeted area. We're not going to do it once a year because that's worthless. We're going to do it every issue. We're going to get it out there. Then we're going to take the new movers ministry, and we're going to target people who move into our area. Then we're going to take every digital network out there and make sure we got gospel on there. We're going to take our benevolence ministry and we're going to retool the whole thing to give us Bible studies. And if you do that, and if you make evangelism the centerpiece to every work you do, graduation banquets, VBSs, Bible camps, summer series, whatever it is you do, egg hunts, whatever it is you do, you make evangelism the centerpiece of every work you do. You know why? Because Ephesians chapter 3 verses 8 and 9 says this, now unto the principalities and powers in heavenly places, that it might be made known by the church the manifold wisdom of God, which is according to his eternal purpose. The purpose of the church is to do Bible studies. And that's what the average church does who enrolls in house-to-house, heart-to-heart school of evangelism. That's what we produce. Morganton was 60, now they're 85. I can just give you a list of churches. We baptized 371 people last year during COVID because we got churches who are willing to work. Put your members to work. Every member gets involved. Don't dump it on Jeff. Don't dump it on Chris. You get every person in this church working. You will see a growing church. It's got to be your number one mission. Not everything else takes a back seat. Let me be clear on this. If the graduation banquet isn't tooled to get context for our Bible studies, you don't do it. If the VBS isn't tooled to get non-Christians inside, by the way, which is one of the best times of the year to do it. Huh? Hey, Rob. Yes, sir. Would you come to our elders meeting with Alan? I said, sure. I said, I'd be glad to come. I'm in town. Yeah, come on, Rob. And so I showed up, and they said, hey, Rob, we just want to get your opinion. It's end of June, and we got VBS. We got COVID going on. Can you have a VBS during COVID? I said, well, I don't see why not. Just take precautions. And maybe not a traditional VBS, but at least we could put something together. And they said, well, what do you think? I think if we don't do it, we won't have Bible studies. Huh? I said, oh, yeah. I said, my VBSs are all about Bible studies. See, I just want non-Christians in the pew. Because if you put them in the pew, I'm going to do a Bible study with them. Really? I said, yes, sir. Oh, okay. We did our VBS. I looked over, and there he was. Huh. Hey, name's Rob. Well, what's your name? Nick. Hey, Nick, what are you doing here? He's, I brought my son for VBS. I said, do you live in the community? Sure do, just down the street. Man, I'm glad you're here. I said, tell me a little bit more about yourself. He said, oh, yeah. He said, Rob, he said, my wife, Darby, you've been sending cards to her. I said, we have? He said, yeah, she had a liver transplant. I said, oh, yeah, Darby, liver, yeah. He said, man, you've overwhelmed us with cards. He said, so I had to come. I said, I sure would like to meet Darby. He said, well, I said, could I take you guys out to eat? I just happen to have this custom. What do you like? Steak? I said, hey, we'll go to a steakhouse. That's kind of expensive. Don't worry about it. Steakhouse, Calhoun's. Tuesday, how about it? 6 o'clock. He said, man, that'd be great. I said, let's go to the steakhouse. I love steak. Don't y'all love steak? Texas, steak, right? Beef. And so we go to the steakhouse. All I want is a Bible study. I'm just probing. Darby, how do you like those cards? Oh, Rob. She said, it has just made a huge difference in my life. Would you like to know more about this church? Because you've already tilled the soil. You know what you do when you till the soil? You plant the seed. The prospecting's done. The hard part, it's already over. Brethren, when I met Nick and he told me this, I already baptized him right here. When I meet someone, I've already done it. I'm just going through the process because I know what's going to happen. What do you think Nick and Darby did? They were baptized. 3 studies, green, blue, red. Number 6, populate your list. You have no targets, you'll never hit it. I mean, you populate your list. You write down names of people that are not Christians, and you make sure the church gives you a list of people you write them down. You have a whiteboard in your elder's office that says, here are the people that are not Christians that we targeted. I got one in my office. It has a list of names. We just erased one. I love it when I erase one. I don't erase them until they're baptized. I love my list. You'll never hit a target you don't aim for. How many of you guys at work have targets you got to hit? How many of you got a whiteboard that the boss puts up the target? You got to sell this much stuff? Why don't we do that at church? Number 7, get everybody participating. Every person in this audience should be participating in Bible studies. Somehow, either write a card, send it, right? Put a basket together, deliver a basket. I don't know. Something. Participate. For the body is not one member, but many. Do you know cards are COVID friendly? No one gets COVID because of a card. Widows can write a card. Young people can write a card. Everybody can send a card. Everybody should be doing it. No one's exempt. I never asked for volunteers. You already volunteered when you came out of the grave. You're in the army. We don't ask you if you want to work. Of course you're working. We're going to work until we can't work anymore. Number 8, make evangelism the most important work of this church. I walked into an elders meeting one time. I was at Willette. I said, brethren, could we change the order of our meeting? He said, well, sure. What do you want to do, Rob? I said, let's make evangelism the first thing we talk about. He said, who do you want to talk about? I want to talk about Samuel Gregory, who's a Mormon and been visiting. I want to talk about Bruce Bartley, who's a Baptist, who's been in our pews for years. I want to talk about Ronnie Rhodes, who's a Baptist, who's been sitting in our pews for 20 years. And I want to talk about the 5 men in our church, Billy Hudson, who's a Methodist, who's been coming for 30 years. I want to know why they're not Christians. Have you ever done a Bible study with them? No. I said, why not? Well, they might leave. They won't be any worse off. Why don't we try a Bible study? How you going to do that, Rob? I said, same way I do it with everybody else. I said, I'm going to visit them. I'm going to visit and visit and visit until the window opens. I went to Billy Hudson's house every week for 3 months. He's a farmer, and he loves to talk. Now, I don't know, I'm not a farmer, but I can do this. Hey, Billy, how's the weather? Repeat after me. How's the weather? It's not hard, right? How's the weather? You can talk to a farmer. Billy, how are the bean prices? Billy, how's the corn price? Is that a John Deere? Rob, that's a blue tractor. That's a Ford. I said, I'm sorry. And I said, how things go? He said, we talked, and he told me his whole life stuff. I'm sitting in the house after a couple months. I'm sitting there with Billy and Francis, his wife. And Billy says, Rob, got to get something into the barn. Be right. Don't leave, Rob. I said, I won't. He's probably going to get me beans or something. So he goes out there and gets Francis. Hey, Francis, today's the day. Oh, Rob. I said, today's the day, Francis. She grabbed me and hugged me and just cried. She says, Rob, I've been wanting this for 44 years. Billy walked in and Francis was crying. Rob, what's wrong? I said, it's okay, Billy, sit down. He said, what's wrong? I said, it's going to be okay. I said, Billy, do you think it's strange that the preacher of the Church of Christ has visited you every week for the past 3 months? Reckon never happened before, Rob. Billy, I want to talk to you about Jesus. He stood up, he walked over to me, and I stood up. And he hugged me, and he said, I've been needing to do this for years, Rob. I said, come to my house Monday night. My wife will make you a dinner unlike you've ever seen before. We'll have roast, we'll have corn on the cob, we'll have green beans. What do you think he did when we were finished? We baptized all 5 of those men that year because we made evangelism the most. I wasn't worried about the parking lot. I didn't care about the roof leaking. I'm not concerned about cleaning the pews. I'm not concerned about Susie, who I forgot to say hello to, and she's about to come unglued, right? I'm concerned about the 5 people sitting in our pew that are lost, and I need your help. Publicize your mission from the pulpit. Chris Grota and Jeff Watley, you make evangelism the most important thing you talk about from this pulpit. Number 10, you pray about it. You pray about it. I got 1 minute left, and I'll tell you what I did. I was at Jacksonville, and I led this prayer. This is the prayer I led. The first prayer I did when I came to Jacksonville. They said, hey preacher, can you lead the closing prayer? I said, sure. Father, in our pews is Jerry Conley. He's not a Christian. Help us reach him. I pray that Jerry Conley could be saved. When I said amen, he wasn't in the pew that night. I wouldn't have done it if he was in the pew. People are coming, who's Jerry Conley? I said, he's only been in your pews for years. We baptized him. Pray about it. Brethren, I know I've kept you a long time tonight, but there's nothing more important than what we've talked about tonight. This is the most important mission in your life. Brethren, you can fail at a lot of things. Don't fail in this. The future of the Church of Christ depends upon this generation. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to be here.